It does make a difference, understanding some of the things that you couldn't catch on the show. Because I do have listeners sometimes texting me, DMing me on my Instagram, like, what did Cameron say today? And I'm like, I don't know. And I don't know how to listen to it again. So it makes it very difficult. So I'm sorry if I haven't replied, but it's hard for me to find out.
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of the words and phrases we will use while talking do come from the text in the book.
Right.
So if you want to know, what was the spelling of that?
That's right.
All of that is usually found inside the book if you purchase it.
So go get your books, and let's talk about social media marketing campaign. You were a big help.
Yes.
That is the title of today's dialogue. Now, if you strike a chord...
Yes.
What does this mean, to strike a chord?
So this is chord, C-H-O-R-D. So this is a musical chord that we're talking about. It means that you created an emotion inside someone. Emotionally, you made a connection with someone.
Okay. How about keep in mind?
Remember something. Don't forget this.
Okay. And factor something in.
This means when you are making a decision or coming to a conclusion, to keep that in mind, which we've just used, to put that into your equation.
Okay.
Put it into your calculations.
All right, very good. Let's go ahead and listen to our dialogue.
The client is extremely happy with the results of the social media campaign.
I guess our content struck a chord with the demographic we were targeting.
Keep in mind that we had a larger budget than usual.
Since this was my first campaign, I wouldn't factor myself in as much of an asset to the team.
You were a big help on this project. I don't think it would have been as successful without you.
Thanks, Megan. I hope you'll want to work with me on the next project.
Here we go. Megan says, the client is extremely happy with the results of the social media campaign. So that's good news.
Yes.
The client is not just happy, but extremely happy. And James says, I guess our content struck a chord with the demographic we were targeting.
Yes.
Okay. So they were targeting, they were looking at, focusing on a certain demographic, which means what?
So your demographic is the type of person you are aiming for when you are selling something or, showing something, advertising. So it would be something like single women in their 30s.
Yeah.
That would be a demographic where certain products would be made for those type of people.
Right. Okay. So what happened was that the content, it did really well with this targeted demographic.
Yes.
It struck a chord with them. Okay, so our expression, strike a chord.
Yes.
I feel like we're playing a musical instrument.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
That's where the phrase comes from, and it's a good visual. First, the meaning of to strike a chord means to create an emotional connection, to make some type of emotion, good or bad. It could be sadness, anger, happiness, joy. It could be anything, but it just connects with you in that way. And the reason that visually it is good to think about music with this, a chord is whenever you have at least 3 notes and they're in harmony with each other.
Okay.
So it'll be like an A, a C, A, C, D, E. A, C, E are really good sounding notes together.
Oh.
And because they fit inside of each other musically.
Okay.
So our brain just, like a chord sounds good.
Oh.
So in the same way, if you're striking a chord with someone, it means that the notes you are both playing connect together well.
Oh my gosh. Can I give you a Bravo.
Yeah.
That's a great explanation. And it's such a great visual. Like that note and this note kind of coming together.
Right.
Wow. Okay. So to strike a chord with something means that there's a connection.
Yeah.
Okay.
The message just like sings inside of you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Megan says, keep in mind that we had a larger budget than usual. All right. Keep in mind is our other vocabulary word.
Yes.
I mean, not vocabulary, but expression.
Yes. So keep in mind means don't forget, remember.
Yeah.
But Megan is specifically using this because they're excited that the campaign went well. That's great news.
Good.
But Megan's saying, hey,
don't forget this.
but we also had a big budget.
Uh-huh.
So maybe it's not just the good skill of the marketing campaign.
We had a lot of money to give.
We had a lot of money, so we could have a larger effect. Yeah.
So it's interesting because when Megan says keep in mind, what she's really saying is that, okay, that's a good point, but here's a bigger point, or here's another point that you should think about.
Yes.
Because it's not just the campaign. All right. Our power pattern today is than usual.
Yes.
We had a sweeter plate than usual, which is at the end. What does this mean?
So this means that it is different from what they normally have, right? Usual means every day or almost every day.
Right.
So usually, normally, most often, they don't have a big budget.
Okay.
But this time, especially, they had a bigger
big budget.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what this than usual is saying.
Uh-huh.
It can be bigger, smaller, louder, quieter.
Like we sold more Power English books this month than usual.
Right.
Right.
It is more. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What does James say?
Since this was my first campaign, I wouldn't factor myself in as much of an asset to the team.
Okay, let's break this apart. We have factor something in. Okay, so this is the first campaign. I wouldn't factor myself in.
Yes.
Okay, so if you wouldn't factor yourself in something, what does this mean?
Here we're saying that I wouldn't consider myself.
I wouldn't consider myself.
I wouldn't consider myself an asset.
An asset.
Yeah.
Which is what?
So an asset is something that is valuable, something that creates value, in this case for the team. So he's saying, I don't really consider myself a big member of the team.
Yeah.
A helpful member of the team.
Right. So he's kind of like, I'm just have a very little part. I didn't do much. Okay, for the team.
Yes.
Okay. So we'll give you more examples in just a bit. And Megan says, you were a big help on this project. I don't think it would have been as successful without you. So Megan is saying, hey, James, you helped. What are you talking about?
Then James says, thanks, Megan. I hope you'll want to work with me on the next project.
Okay. So it seems like James is quite humble.
Yeah.
He's kind of like, no, I didn't do anything. But Megan's like, oh, no, you were a great help. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and listen to this dialogue one more time.
The client is extremely happy with the results of the social media campaign.
I guess our content struck a chord with the demographic we were targeting.
Keep in mind that we had a larger budget than usual.
Since this was my first campaign, I wouldn't factor myself in as much of an asset to the team.
You were a big help on this project. I don't think it would have been as successful without you.
Thanks, Megan. I hope you'll want to work with me on the next project.
Okay, it's time for a power note. Let's look at our first expression, strike a chord. It means that you feel a connection, and usually an emotional connection.
Yes.
To something. Okay, your speech struck a chord with the audience, Kira.
That's good to hear. I've been working on it for weeks.
Okay. So a speech, a presentation, or book, a movie can strike a chord with the listeners, with the audience, with teenagers, whoever.
Yes.
The photograph struck a chord with viewers who care about the environment. So you go to an art exhibit, you go to a photography exhibit, it strikes a chord with you. How do you feel?
You either feel inspired or you feel sad.
Yeah.
Sometimes you feel angry.
Right. So the emotional connection doesn't always mean like, oh, it's wonderful. It could be like, it's making you very sad.
Yeah. And to be honest, I think this phrase is used more often for more negative emotions. Nowadays, at least, it'll be something like, the speech struck a chord with young people who feel they don't have a voice in the government. It's often, striking a chord that causes people to protest or striking a chord that causes people to quit their jobs.
Yeah.
Like, it does feel, at least nowadays, maybe with how certain things in society are going, that this phrase is used more often when people are emotionally charged in a negative way. Angry, sad.
Frustrated, disappointed.
Frustration. Yeah.
Very good point. So it's like there, and then they see something, they hear something, and it strikes a chord. It brings that out.
Yeah. Not always. If you were going to say positively, you might use it with things like inspiration. Like, oh, his speech struck a chord with the young people and they decided to volunteer to help. Like that. Yeah. It can be used in a positive way.
Okay.
But I think it goes more negative.
All right. Very good. Good to know. All right. So, I think our program, Power English, it's just a simple English, program.
Yeah.
I don't know how this can get an emotional response. Because it's more light and, we're learning. So I wouldn't use this example, for our program because there's not a lot of emotion.
There's not a lot of heavy emotions, definitely.
Right. So it's usually dealing with things, a speech that's very inspirational or a movie that's like really dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, also a song, let's say a song.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just, there's so much nostalgia.
Oh.
Like, it sounds like a song from my childhood.
Oh, my gosh, that could strike a chord.
It just makes me so happy.
Yeah.
That could still, I guess, strike a chord with you.
Yeah, totally. All right, keep in mind means to remember, but it's very specifically used. In our dialogue, it was more like, oh, this is another important point that you should keep thinking about.
Yeah, don't forget this.
You should think about.
Yeah,
okay. So, should we meet back here at 4?
Keep in mind that the cruise ship leaves at 4:30. So, let's meet at 3:30 instead.
Okay.
So, here the keep in mind, the person's basically saying, yeah, we can, but I think it would be better if we did something else.
Yeah.
Kind of like saying, hey, did you forget that it leaves at 4:30? I think that's a little close.
Yeah, right.
Like, you're not completely wrong.
Yeah.
But I also don't think you're completely right.
Yeah.
Did you forget?
I'm laughing, everyone, because I'm looking at Cameron explain this, and I wish you could see his face and his gestures. It brings so much life to your explanation.
I feel like we need point and audio for the show.
We do need that so much. So much so. Okay. All right. So keep in mind that the dry cleaner is closed tomorrow, so you should get your dress today.
Yes.
So, okay, you need your dress tomorrow evening. But I'm warning you, this is more like a warning.
This is more like a warning.
Yeah.
This is almost like something like a mom would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Like it's like a warning. Hey, this is going to happen. Don't forget.
Right.
I think so. Yeah. It's keep in mind can be very light, but I feel it's often used as a light warning.
Yeah. I agree. Keep in mind.
Keep in mind.
Yeah. There is that little bit of element of warning in there.
Like, it's just saying remember, but it's more like, you should definitely do this unless you're going to regret it later.
Yeah. That is so very true.
Yeah.
Okay, last one. Factor something in. It's kind of like you have a math equation.
Yeah.
You know, like 2x plus 3y minus, 4z equals 14. Okay, now, factor something in. So something, you got to figure something into an equation.
Yeah, you're adding something
to that equation.
To the equation.
Okay.
To your calculation.
That's right. It sounds like the company had a really good year.
Well, once you factor in increased labor costs, it wasn't great.
Okay.
So, when you do profit, it's like
made money.
Sales minus costs, right?
Right.
So they were just saying, we made a lot of money. And say, hey, factor in the labor costs. Minus the labor cost, we didn't make a lot of money.
That's right. So don't just look at the final number.
No.
You have to think about your expenses, your costs.
Yes.
I factored in the cost of fuel, and we're going to need $400 for this road trip.
Yeah, we forgot about the fuel costs.
We remembered the rental.
Yeah, and the hotel.
The hotel. But the gas.
Oh, the gas, right. Let's factor in the gas.
All right. Our power pattern is something than usual.
Yeah, more than normal, less than normal.
Okay. This is a bigger crowd for a local soccer game than usual.
I got a bigger paycheck than usual.
Well, congratulations.
Wow, awesome.
I wish I had that here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. Asset is our power vocabulary. Do check out the definition yourself. And let's thank our sponsor.
한국토익위원회에서 취업과 승진을